Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. Today we're looking at some text messages from the point of view of Kaden Pressy's mother, Alicia Lee, who was in communication with her son Kaden during the time of the party around Sunday night going into Monday morning. We're going to be looking at it from a different perspective today, how the conversation came about and the reactions in regards to that photo taken by Kaden of his cousin, I believe called Georgia, 15-year-old, who was throwing up after drinking a certain amount of alcohol from the party. There's been some counterpoints in recent time by the likes of Brooke Bounce Carter, who has stated that Caden's cousin and the cousin's friend, 15-year-old, arrived at the party uninvited and were already drunk as soon as they got there. I don't know how true that is. That's what Brooke Bounce Carter states. But to be fair, she wasn't there at the time. She wasn't even in the country. So whatever she is saying is second, third-hand information which has been passed on. So you could question the validity of it. Now, when it comes to Alicia Lee's perspective or thoughts on the matter, it could be a bit of a touchy subject depending how it's interpreted. So it is always important for me to give a backstory today before we do continue, just to make it very clear the reasoning as to why this video is being made, why now, and just the overall theme. And we'll get to that in just a second. But make sure to stick around so you don't miss anything, because we don't want any misunderstandings, do we? Welcome to people who are currently here in this live premiere. If you are, feel free to make use of the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. And if not, if you're watching on catch up or you just want to sit through and listen in, at the end of this video, be sure to drop a comment down below under the video. Let me know your thoughts, what you agree or disagree with. If you have any questions, and I can always respond back later. You'll also see a pinned message as well in the comment section with additional links if you do want to support this channel. If you simply want to catch up on recent coverage by me, top right corner where the eye symbol is, click up there. You'll get the full playlist which I've created of all the videos from my channel, so you won't miss out. And then some additional loose clips as well from recent uploads. Be sure to check it out when you do have time. And also, shout out to the people that have made their appearance recently on my channel in the comments. And shout out to Jan Friarillo for their presence on here. Much appreciated. So, with that all being said, the backstory as to this video. In terms of the screenshots, conversations, I reached out to Alicia Lee in some way or another just to see if it was okay to do this. As you know, things can backfire with times. And for most part of it, the thumbs up, it's okay to do this, to show the screenshots. So I just made sure of that first of all. Because you think back to that Kaden Pressy leaked or hacked interview and the trouble that caused, I didn't want like a repeat. Or not for me, but just in general within the community. Didn't want to repeat that or create more issues in general, because what good does it do for the case? So yeah, thumbs up from Alicia. It's okay to do this video today. The questioning behind why though, it's been talked about already. It's been covered previously. Is this an attempt to pin the blame or bash Alicia or bash Kaden? No. It's being done now because I've only just recently come across it. That's why I'm doing it. I didn't know about it previously. I didn't come across it previously. And of course, I can say credit, shout out to the odd other individual for the video suggestion. I don't want to mention names when it comes to video suggestions just because of respect for people's privacy, but you know who you are. Let's just keep it all under control for now. So I only just found out about it recently. Some of you may have never seen it before, the text conversation between Kaden and his mom at the time of the party. It's important to, not quite live, but live at the time, some kind of interaction, conversation, besides the party goers in some of the party clips and videos, what we've seen at the house? What about external communication in the moment of a particular or event, or just before it happening, or in between? Just to see what the general tone was, the atmosphere, the mood, the mindset, the reactions. And that will be shown today to an extent. So just make sure to stick about. So besides me only coming across it recently, and besides me wanting to share it with you so you get to see it yourself, I'm doing it now as well because of the recent videos, and not to do with Brooke Bounds-Carter, but before that, the other concepts, the theme of the cousin, doing the analysis there. This is just giving that full, complete understanding of what's going on and stuff. No point only doing half of it. Might as well do the full coverage if possible. Tie up loose ends along the way, and then it might make it easier for you to analyse yourself. Because once again, at the end of the day, it might have been talked about on Facebook. These screenshots may have come up in past conversations. It may have already been cleared up. But not everybody is going to know, because not everybody is on Facebook or has access to pages. So with what I'm doing today, I'm enabling that awareness to be spread even further. And the main reason behind this, a reoccurring theme of alcohol by choice or not. The complications with the age factor as well, which needs to be highlighted. Even driving too, which can be referenced. And any questions that can be answered down below in the comment section if anyone wants to do so, even attach timestamps with when I ask a question and you respond back, that'd be appreciated. I'm sure it will help other people too. If we do get time today, I might even consider looking at the comment section of my previous video, or one of them, if I didn't quite catch up with, if there's any new activity. If not, we'll just see what happens. Was there anything else to mention? So like the theme of alcohol, maybe reiterating once again the importance of social hosting rules and things like that when it comes to a variety of people that may come, some more vulnerable than others. And in this case, you could consider them more vulnerable than the likes of Noah and the likes of Jack because of the age factor. More about that in just a second. So without further ado, hopefully I've made it clear enough and Alicia understands. If there's any issues, you can always leave a comment down below and then we'll go from there. But let's just start looking at this conversation and try and understand it. So here is the first screenshot. This is from Facebook Messenger. And I know it's not quite clear, could look a little bit blurry or fuzzy, but this is just how it was presented at the time. If anyone does find it hard, don't worry, I'll read it out to you because I can clearly see it myself. Maybe I can try and clear it up editing later. But from whose perspective is this? Normally the one who's highlighted in the blue box, the one who's receiving messages from another individual. That other individual would be the grey box. So the blue box is Alicia Lee herself and her point of view, with conversation with her son, Kaden Pressy, who's highlighted in the grey box, who's present at the party house in Terrell, Oklahoma. You see at the very top middle, you got a profile picture of Kaden Pressy, which says Tate with a blue love heart, Duncan, Oklahoma. Now, Alicia Lee said herself that she refers to her son as Tate more than Kaden. I guess it is why it is. Just in case you were confused by the name. In terms of the timestamp of this conversation during the party, 10:41 p.m. Not long since the cousin arrived. If you look back to the Partners in True Crime interview, Kaden Pressy mentioned that when it came to Sunday night at 10:30 p.m, that's when his cousin unexpectedly arrived and he had to sober up to look out for her. And it shows within this text conversation, not that far apart, is it? So Kaden says, Georgia's here, but her friend brought her here and is dropping her off when they leave. So I'ma stop drinking so I can keep an eye on her. So at around 10:41 p.m. is when Kaden decides to stop drinking, meaning he hasn't sobered up quick enough. And yet Kaden said originally at 10:30 p.m. is when he sobered up. There's a bit of inconsistency there. That's not me being negative or bashing anyone. I'm just being honest and realistic based off what Kaden had said in a public interview and what's said here. There's only like an 11-minute time difference. It's not the end of the world and whatnot. But for Kaden to say that his cousin, known as Georgia with a J, has arrived, but her friend brought her to the party, are both 15 years old. At the time, Kaden's cousin is 15, but is the cousin's friend also 15? Because wouldn't that be underage when driving? And if one or both may have been drinking before getting to the party, could they get in trouble for that? More so, not Georgia, but Georgia's friend. You get what I'm saying? Now, Alicia responds, "Why is Georgia there?" And that's 10:41. At 10:43 p.m, Kaden Pressy responds, "No idea, but she is. Her mom doesn't know." Alicia responds, "Kaden, don't let her do anything she will regret in the morning." That could mean anything, right? Kaden responds, "Don't snitch. I know, I'm keeping an eye on her," which is consistent with what Kaden said in the public interview. Alicia replies, "But you gotta watch her. She's wild." And Kaden says, "Making sure no douche tries anything on her." And that's consistent with what Kaden said in Partners in True Crime interview, where he was making sure no other guys, older guys, were hitting on her, harassing her, anything dodgy, trying to avoid her, which seemed to be successful. That's good. Alicia says, "Please just don't let anything happen to her." So it's like, right, why is she there? Maybe she shouldn't be, but she is, so she might as well stay there. As long as Kaden is present, which he was, maybe that's the bargaining chip. What I'm trying to get at is, some people might have thrown some questions along the way and said, why was Alicia somewhat okay with that cousin being present at a party if she's underage and under the age of drinking, etc., etc.? Maybe it's because Kaden Pressy was present. Let's say in a different scenario that Kaden wasn't at the party, but his cousin was 15-year-old, then maybe more direct action may have been taken. Possibly, in this case, Alicia truly trusted her son because her son is a good person and somewhat responsible and caring. So she puts her trust and responsibility in Kaden looking out for the cousin without any more additional backlash of having to reach out to the cousin's mother and then tell him what's going on and then people get told off. I do understand the situation. Obviously, if you think about what ended up happening with Noah, you could say, well, it could have been anyone or someone else could have got hurt or caught within stuff, and then you can be more critical. If at the end of the day that Noah Presgrave didn't die, then I don't think people would be as critical with the odd 15-year-old coming down to the party. Still, probably not the most ideal place because of the age ranges. A 15-year-old being in the presence of 19, 20, 21-year-olds might not be the most practical, but then at the same time, it depends what country or what state or the type of community, if it's like long-time friends or people know one another, close community, things like that, there can be exceptions. But then when you've got the presence of alcohol, it could raise a few eyebrows. But I think it's just more critical and more concentrated because of what happened to Noah. If there was no death at the party or beyond, then it wouldn't seem as unsafe, and then there wouldn't be as much focus on these younger, more vulnerable people being present, and that, more action should have been taken earlier than later. But we'll just go for it bit by bit, okay? I'm interested when Alicia says, but you gotta watch her, Georgia, she's wild. What does that mean? Wild as in lacking control when maybe in the presence of alcohol? Or if she was to get drunk, as in like how she has been on a past occasion, when drunk, she can act out, or she could get in trouble, or I don't know. I don't want to, say it in any awkward, weird ways, but in what way does wild mean? Because that can be interpreted many different ways, right? So, moving on. So, what we have here is just a photo provided or taken by Kaden Pressy, probably Sunday night. Yeah, it would be. It says copyright on the side. That's just a screenshot from my own YouTube video. I was just finding that party footage compilation and I just wanted to share this. So I'm guessing this photo, multiple different screenshots of the same thing, where Kaden Pressy is sat down because of his knee brace, the ACL meniscus surgery, and recovering from that, not mobile enough to move about, with his Hey Dude shoes, as you can see there, worn at that moment, sometime Sunday night, I'm guessing. And these probably were taken after this text conversation, shortly afterwards, or maybe the photo was before this. I'm not too sure. If the cousin arrived at around 10:30 p.m. Sunday night, and then Kaden let his mom Alicia know at around 10:40, it's close together. And maybe when she was like, please just don't let her, anything happen to her, make sure she's okay. At some point, Kaden was like, I'll get a photo just to show as proof that she's happy, she's safe, she's doing okay. And that's what Kaden said himself. I don't know the exact timestamp of this video clip recorded by Kaden, but it's just to show that who's on screen, the girl with the black hair, the white top, is Georgia, Kaden's cousin, 15-year-old. And, if you look at a quick glance, it's not the clearest, is it? But you got some person on the right, shirtless, near to the Christmas tree, which could be Jack Newton. On the left is a guy in a black shirt, t-shirt, black hat. I have no clue who that person is. Does anyone know? And then in the background, it could be Carter Combs, or it could be Logan, maybe a familiar face. On the far left, out of shot, if I move on to the next screenshot, is basically Noah Presgrove in his black shorts and hat, so quite familiar with that. But all in all, when you do look, if you didn't know people's age ranges, you'd think they're all the same age, arguably. You see Kaden's cousin, 15 years old, but doesn't look that young, doesn't look that old, kind of, the same as the other people. So, not that it's like a major point to mention, but if you didn't know the full context behind this, you'd probably think nothing much of it. It's only when you add in the additional factors, you've got a 15-year-old around much older people. Is it a safe environment? And then when paired with alcohol, does it make it a bit unstable? Well, considering that Kaden Pressy just happened to be at that party, even though he didn't know she was going to come, she was somewhat safe. Kaden did as much as he could, I guess, from the looks of it. And at some point, this photo was just to provide proof to Alicia, it's all okay, you don't need to call the cousin's mom, it's fine. But does it last for long? Not quite. We move to this one. Hopefully you can see it says Monday, September 4th at 12:48 a.m. So that is 00:48 in the morning. And in terms of the time of when Kaden went to sleep, that was hours later at around 2 a.m. So there's quite a big time gap, isn't there? But yeah, 12:48 a.m. you got that photo there, which I believe we have looked at previously. I did do a separate analysis of it. And basically, you've got Georgia on the porchway or just on the patio outside of the party house with a head in her hands, crouched over, after vomiting because of drinking too much alcohol, so things did escalate. On the left-hand side, if you can just about make it out, there are a pair of shoes, the Hey Dude ones. If it will allow me to zoom in, if possible, on the left-hand side, you can just make out those greyish shoes, and those are the ones that belong to Kaden, because when we go back here, those shoes there, they're the same ones. In terms of the angling of the photo, I found it a little bit awkward at first, because you got Kaden from the side, from his point of view, facing straight towards Georgia, but I guess he's got his arm out to the side from an awkward angle and taking the photo that way, maybe to make it clear that it's her without shoving the camera in her face. Some people could say, why would you be taking a photo of your cousin in a vulnerable or a bad state? What good does that do? Well, it's a part of this conversation to relay it to his mom, Alicia, to say, this is the deal, this is what's up, what should be done now. Like an update, that's all it is. So the only other thing what I noticed was by the side of the cousin, there was another leg wearing jeans and some shoes, or a shoe, in the bottom right corner of the photo. Who is that? Who stood there? I don't know. Was anyone else present? Not too sure. This was taken, or at least uploaded, at 12:48 a.m. 0048. When this photo was uploaded, was it at the same time as when it was taken in the moment? Or is there a bit of a time delay? You never know. And Kaden says, Georgia, no like alcohol. I don't know if that's because Kaden is tired, drunk himself. It's just when you say, Georgia, no like alcohol. It's clear to understand, but it's just a sentence structuring. Of course, when you're at a party, you're not really going to care that much. Well, I'm just trying to figure it out. Now, Alicia was somewhat shocked. She responded, oh my God, don't let anyone take pictures of her. Which is a bit odd. Don't let anyone take pictures of her, and yet that photo above is taken by Kaden. But I guess what Alicia is meaning is, thanks for updating me. I wasn't expecting to see something like this. I was hoping that she would be safe and somewhat responsible, or taking care. But after seeing that, it's somewhat shocking, and she looks vulnerable. She's not in a good place. Kaden, make sure no one else takes photos or takes advantage. I can understand that. That's at around 12:55 a.m, close to 1 in the morning. Was there any key timestamps 1 in the morning? Did anything important happen there? Not from what I can remember. Really, 2 a.m. is prominent because that's the time of when Kaden said he went to sleep for the first time Monday morning. 2:40 is the timestamp of the side-by-side rollover, supposedly. 2:42 is the timestamp of when Alicia called Kaden to do with the cousin eventually making it back home safely with the parents, the guardians, from the highway pullover and being taken back properly back home by 2:42. And then beyond, that's whatever happens to Noah. So the cousin made it back home before whatever happened to Noah. So the cousin wouldn't have seen anything, nor on the highway, from the looks of it. Just wanted to make that clear. But no, I can't really think of anything else at this moment in time. Kaden does respond, yes, ma'am. No one has, that I've seen of so far, take photos. Alicia says, can she stand up? It's interesting this, only because you got a 15-year-old drunk, vomiting, not in a good place based off their body language. What was Noah Presgrove like at a time of when he was drunk? The same or not as bad? Everybody takes alcohol differently, and most importantly, based off your age as well. You know, if you're younger, you're not as experienced with alcohol, it could hit you harder and be more devastating depending on the volumes. So, moving to this conversation thread, part of the same post. 12:58 a.m. Kaden says, yes, she is fixing to go to the toilet to pee and then leave. In response, Alicia says, follow her to the bathroom, please. And there's a little photo there. And then Alicia says at 1:42 a.m., which is actually jumping ahead, to be honest. You got 00:58. Let's just round it up to 1 in the morning. And this is Monday morning, 1 a.m. 42 minutes later, then Alicia says, why are you not with Georgia, Kaden? I'm going to call Melissa if you do not call me. Did anything else happen past that conversation? I'm not too sure. This is all I have. But as we saw, by 2:42, action was already taken before that. 2 in the morning, Kaden went to sleep. Was it before 2 in the morning when the cousin left, or was it around 2 in the morning onwards when the cousin left whilst Kaden was asleep? I'm not too sure. But if I just zoom in here, so you get a bit more context with this. At 1:42 a.m. Why are you not with Georgia, Kaden? I don't know if this is the Life 360 app or not. It seems to show satellite imagery, maybe through Google Maps or Google Earth, whether it's relevant to the actual time of the party. It's interesting, this, because how it looks on screen is obviously very different to how it looks nowadays on Google Earth satellite imagery, more up to date. So, you got the barn shed. There's like a white car or vehicle parked outside of it. Then closer to the party house, you got another white vehicle parked outside, which shows Kaden Pressy's icon either outside the house near the porchway or inside of the house. It's hard to tell. Round the back of the house, you do have a circular black object, which is a trampoline. And we saw that on satellite imagery before June of 2024 when they did update the imagery, and they must have got rid of the trampoline from the site. But what's more interesting is, what the hell is that, rectangular object on the ground behind the party house? What the hell is that? Does anyone know? Can anyone leave a comment down below? I don't remember seeing that on satellite imagery. As for JB, JB means Georgia and whatever her last name is. The cousin appears to be somewhere inside of the party house property, the building, and Kaden Pressy could be inside the house too, but in a different room. And if not that, he's outside of the party house. And their whereabouts was around 1:42 a.m. So because Alicia didn't hear anything from her son Kaden for about, 40 minutes or so, 40 minutes of silence, it's like, I told you to look out for Georgia and follow her to the bathroom to make sure she's okay and nobody takes photos of her. 40 minutes of silence, what the hell's going on? So you could say 40 minutes worth of patience, and then Alicia steps in and is like, right, let me use this tracking app and see where they're at. Is Kaden truly near to Georgia, or are they apart? And in terms of distance, that seems to be the case. And obviously she's like, okay then, why are you nowhere near her? Is it by 1:42 a.m, what was Kaden Pressy doing? What I can do to put things into perspective, because I'm remembering it more now, at 1:42 a.m, it does look like Kaden is outside of the property, the party house. What's he doing outside though? If you didn't remember or you wasn't too sure, about 10 minutes or 12 minutes before that, what we see on screen, that photo provided by Alicia Lee, the mother, of the whereabouts of Kaden at that time, 11 minutes beforehand, Kaden was outside near the patio porchway on the front of the party house property when recording the interaction between Noah Presgrove and Brylan Sweat. That tense moment, you could call it, where Noah is begging, demanding to be slapped by Brylan and promising he won't fight back, and Brylan's a little reluctant, then eventually slaps Noah and then runs off. And then the video ends, and then you see the compilation of the other perspectives and whatnot. And then in the background, with a little pink birthday banner, you got 22-year-old Avery Combs, also known as Avery Howard, having a conversation with Isaac Rojas, holding a 12-gauge shotgun. And then on the floor, scattered about, you got some cans, spillage from liquid, and Brylan, who may or may not be holding a knife. But, you know, as for this video clip, we can analyse it another time, possibly, and what was actually said. But why was Noah wanting to be slapped? Who knows? I mean, when it came to Saturday night, Noah did get slapped, but he wasn't really asking for it. Shandy decided to do it. But whatever, messing about, drunk, playing around, who knows? In terms of, if I just add very quickly, Brylan Sweat here, those shoes with the blue jeans, kind of speckled, the shoe looks awfully familiar with this photo. I think Brylan Sweat is stood here next to Kaden Pressy's cousin. I think it's the same individual. And then Kaden is on the left-hand side. Interesting. And that's at 0048. So it goes to show that these partygoers may be in and out of the house, or they remained out of the house in the early hours of the morning, hanging around. Interesting. So this was taken, the timestamp, at around 1:30 a.m. Monday morning, September 4th, 2023. Kaden did make reference to being behind the camera of this clip. From this perspective, this is just a still screenshot of the video, just so we can analyse it. 10 minutes later, supposedly, this is the next timestamp of a photo, an actual photo taken with Noah Presgrove and his best friend Jack Newton inside of the house in the bathroom area. This is supposedly the room which Noah had a shower in. I mean, we don't have many angles or perspectives to go off from it. I'm guessing it's just round the side where the bath could be, or the shower, I should say. I guess the only observation would be that when you look at Noah's body there, from this angle at least, not to get dodgy, but as you can see, there's clearly writing all over his stomach area and the side as well. Chest, not so much. Maybe there's a little bit in the middle, just below his neck area. With that writing there, and it does say, "Eat my ass," which is interesting. But can we compare it to this? Not quite, because it's a side profile. But some people were suggesting that there's no writing here, but there is 10 minutes later. What the hell's going on? But then maybe beyond that, there's no writing. The order of it, I think what people were getting at didn't quite make sense. If you were written on earlier and then later the writing wasn't there, or it was faded, well, then maybe you've had a wash in between, it's faded slightly. But if you had writing on you, then it faded, or it was still there. But I don't know. It just depends how you look at it. Because Noah was written on Saturday. Sunday morning after breakfast, at some point, Noah went back to his place of living to have a shower. But there is still writing on his body. But it is faded. I guess it depends how you may interpret it. It's just a little loose reference, which some viewers were mentioning and questioning in the past. But yeah, supposedly this is 1:40 a.m. when this was taken. This was recorded by Kaden Pressy at 1:30 a.m. of Noah outside with Brylan outside. And then this was 12 minutes after this. And 2 minutes later after this. So basically at 1:42 a.m. Kaden could have been outside the party house property, depending if that market is on the outside or on the tip of the house, maybe the living room. It's kind of hard to determine. But Noah and Jack in the bathroom area. Kaden either in the living room or still outside. With who exactly, I don't know. And as for Georgia, the cousin, she's inside the house. I don't know what room that would be. Does anyone know what room roughly that could be? A bedroom, the bathroom, the kitchen area, dining? Drop a comment down below. But you kind of get an idea that when we apply these photos, these images and the timestamps, yes, I know it doesn't give a timestamp literally on screen like the Snapchat one does with Jasmine Milan, but the importance of this is adding on with what we've heard from the interviews and the individuals that have taken these photos and external reference points too. I'm just trying to tie it all together now, so you got a bit more of an understanding as in when certain photos, videos took place, and how it also interlinks with conversations at the party or beyond, like what we see the conversation with Kaden and his mum, Alicia Lee. And this possible Life 360 or satellite imagery tracking, which is quite useful. And you take that into mind, something like this, if it was used for the other people, like how Justin Royer said, if it was downloaded by the others, the party goers, it would show everybody's whereabouts, supposedly. But you need certain timestamps, like 3:30 and beyond, 3:41 in between then, key timestamp needed. 4 in the morning, another key timestamp needed to be tied in with the Life 360, with the previous events, what we've heard of. We've taken that all in mind. Now we can actually apply it to the vulnerability factor, age, and the theme of alcohol, how it came about, how the 15-year-old cousin came across it, and more. First of all, just to reiterate from what Brooke Bounds-Carter has stated in recent time, there are screenshots of it on my channel very recently, either in the comment section or the live chat of one of my videos, but I can't remember which one. So I'm just reiterating from what I remember seeing, from what she said. Take in mind, Brooke Bounds-Carter was not at the party. She wasn't even in the country at the time it happened. So what she has stated is second, third-hand information. So you could be skeptical and you could question it. If we heard it directly from the horse's mouth or a key witness that knew what the deal was at the time, that would be more helpful. And if anyone can, you can leave a comment down below. But what Brooke was claiming was Georgia and her friend, 15 years old both, well, at least a cousin. The cousin driven down by a friend to the party, uninvited. Kaden wasn't aware she was coming. The party host, birthday girl Avery, wasn't aware they were coming. But they showed up, already drunk. Already drunk. If that was true, drunk driving. It's lucky that they were able to get on down in one piece without hurting, harming themselves, nor endangering any other innocent people's lives along the highway. So, if they're already drunk, where did they get the alcohol from? Before setting out, going to a store, on the way down to going to the party. If that was true, any of it, that's reckless, taking actions into their own hands, could time with what Alicia meant by the cousin being or getting wild when in the presence of alcohol. But furthermore, besides drunk driving, underage drinking, underage driving, I think you've got to be 16 years old or more to drive in the US. It can vary around the world and maybe different states, but supposedly 16 or so. If you're 15, I guess you would get in trouble if you were driving. Correct me if I'm wrong, it might differ in that county, in that state, whatnot, but still, young individuals, supposedly drunk and driving, make it down to the party. That's what Brooke has claimed on behalf of whoever said it in the first place, supposedly Avery. And then when Avery found that they arrived, she didn't expect them to come because they weren't invited, but she didn't want them to leave because they were drunk and didn't want them on the highway. Okay, responsible. What else can you do with them? Keep them present at the party. But from that moment, what do they get up to as for activities? Well, at least for Georgia, getting more drunk, drinking more alcohol. Must have done in order to throw up afterwards and be somewhat ill. Okay in the end, but at the time when around other people partying and where there's alcohol present, if they came on down drunk, did they already have alcohol with them? Even if they did, and they took it upon themselves to drink it, they would have ran out, wouldn't they? Likely. And then they would have been like, right, where's the rest of the alcohol at? And maybe taking a bottle or a can here or there. The question is, at any point, was alcohol forced on one or two of the 15-year-olds, or more so focused on the cousin of Kaden's? Was alcohol ever forced onto the cousin? Was there any peer pressure? Because at times, if you're around a group of friends or kind of friends or semi-strangers in a certain environment or maybe a party, you could be around people that are more experienced than you or have done things you haven't done. You might feel a bit out of place or out of touch, whether that be because of age, lack of opportunities, or other factors. Despite age, you could be in a pressuring situation of peer pressure, being forced to do something you don't really want to do, but you want to fit in. You want to be like everybody else in the moment. So in this case, you drink alcohol or you try some more and drink more and more. I don't know the whole deal there. It's okay, Brooke saying, well, this person and that person and Noah came on down with alcohol themselves. But even if people did, supposedly, because we don't know it as a 100% fact, because this is third party information, isn't it, from a person that doesn't even wasn't even at the party or in the country at the time. So you got to be cautious, haven't you, when listening. But even if it was true, those that brought alcohol down may or may not have got drunk from that. When they ran out of it, they probably would have got more alcohol that was present at the party. Hence, what I'm getting at is, even if they came on down with no alcohol, there still would have been some alcohol at the party to consume. My question is, at any point, was anyone forced, peer pressured in drinking it? You know? Or did people make the choice to drink it themselves? And it's like an awkward thing, because for most part of it, you're going to have 18, 19, 20-year-olds of somewhat of an adult age, but still, just because of the laws in the US or certain states, underage to drink. Once you become an adult, you can take responsibility with certain things, and in other countries, drink responsibly, like UK and beyond, but in the US, there's still a gap as to when you can properly drink. So, not that there's a free pass, but you could understand why these young adults could think, well, even though underage drinking, technically we're an adult, so we should be allowed to drink regardless, and who's going to stop us? No one's around, there's no authority. You can understand the reasoning behind it. At least people should be able to drink responsibly, but I guess people at a party having fun, they're not going to be, taking in mind all the health and safety precautions. They're not going to put a hard hat and a high-vis jacket on or a safety harness, no. And like with most parties, you can get lost in the moment, and one thing can lead to another, and it can escalate. But the exception, when it comes to people who aren't even of legal drinking age, and most definitely not even of an adult age, under 18, in this case, 15-year-old, making the choice to go down to a party with much older people, I wonder why, at some point drinking alcohol in order to get drunk, as Kaden documented. How did Georgia in other ways, how did Georgia obtain the alcohol? Did she drink it herself? Did someone give it to her? Was it natural or forced? And what was Kaden's reaction or response like? I mean, it's obviously hard to tell in the video footage, but at least from that small clip by Kaden, and you've got Georgia near to the kitchen area, near to a table, bending to pick something up, which could well be a drink. Noah Presgrove is nearby her. What was Noah like with Georgia? Did they get on well? And I mean, just as friends, did one look out for the other? Anything like that? Any other interactions? You know, did anything positive happen? Was it neutral? Was it normal? I guess in the moment it was, from how Kaden portrayed it and the video that he recorded showing that she was okay and safe at that moment. But at that moment when that video was taken, was Georgia drinking any alcohol? I don't know. Kaden didn't mention any reference to it. Only the after photo when the supposed news came out that she threw up outside, and that photo was actually from a Daily Mail article, what we saw. But I didn't know about it in the past, only more recently, and hence that's why we've come to this video right now, to come to a bit of a head and tie up everything and put it all together. But if there was a point where Georgia was starting to drink alcohol or halfway through drinking, did Kaden see it? What was his thoughts? Was he disappointed? Was he like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, stop it? At the end of the day, you can only do so much. You can look out for someone, but you can't completely control them, because that can backfire in itself and you can push the person away. And in a situation like that, you don't want to push away your cousin because you're in the middle of nowhere. You don't want to have an argument or falling out with them because they could storm off into darkness, just like Noah, and end up the same way, supposedly. You never know. That's why you want to keep them close. You don't want to control them. You might want to give them advice, what they could do, what they probably shouldn't do. But even if you stopped them or told them off, they would still find a way to get a hold of that alcohol. And if the cousin is wild, whatever that means, they might still find a way to obtain alcohol, drink it, and get drunk. They're not aware or they don't care about the consequences. And then when it hits them, then that reality check comes in. But just in terms of alcohol present at the party, where it's truly intended for everyone who attends or just for those that live there, there's alcohol in sight. And those that are present hosting it should take a little bit of responsibility, as in how it's distributed possibly and where it's located, if it's loosely on a table. It's just like if you had a baby shower or something like that and everyone decided to leave the pills out on the floor. Bit reckless, irresponsible, because a baby could find it, pick it up, swallow it. Maybe it's not the best example, but when it comes to certain age ranges, which comes with the tagline of vulnerability, where they themselves may not be able to make the correct choices or have the most experience, but others around do, one could take advantage over the other. I said, Kaden said nothing like truly bad happened besides her throwing up. At least what we know of. That's something. But I think things are just a little bit more tense because of what happened to Noah. And people could be thinking now, you know what? That's what could have happened to Kaden's cousin. Not like it's guaranteed, but, you tying it in with alcohol and being drunk. Well, the cousin was drunk. Noah Presgrove was drunk. Similar alcohol levels, I don't know there. But everyone reacts to alcohol differently. Is there anything really else to mention? Just that, to refer back to the social hosting rules, laws, responsibility. You may have not invited younger people over, so it's kind of unfair for them to find out that younger people do arrive, because then that's excess baggage, added responsibilities. What else can you do in the moment? Unless Avery called Melissa, Kaden's cousin, Georgia's mother. Maybe that should have been done, the right thing. But if Avery was like Kaden, as in, you know what, you can stay here, it's a party, you can have fun, we'll just watch over you, look out for you. I don't know if it's true, girls look out for one another, keep each other safe, wherever, whenever. But I guess in Kaden's case, it made more sense because related via blood, family, you'd be closer, you're going to take more care, and you'll feel just natural responsibility upon yourself to make sure they're safe, even though you weren't anticipating them to come on down. Kaden can only do so much, as like with anyone else, you can't become too controlling. And furthermore, Kaden can only do so much as well due to his limited mobility. So wherever she goes, it might be hard for Kaden to follow with his leg recovery from that injury in the past. As for Avery, could Avery have done more? Or another girl when looking out for the odd 15-year-old? Because would it have come as a shock to them to find that such young people are coming to a more of an older age party? I wonder. And did any of the hosts think, oh, this alcohol left on the table, maybe we shouldn't leave it there just in case the 15-year-old or the cousin picks it up? Or if it's supposedly true with this third-hand information that they were already drunk when they showed up, they were like, oh, well, they're drunk already, can't get any worse. Obviously, that would be very reckless and irresponsible thinking, but I don't know, I'm just trying to give the different scenarios to weigh the situation up. I mean, if Alicia wants to leave any additional comments to set the record straight or clear things up, you can, or anyone else can. If this video does have backlash or it triggers someone, then oh well. All this is simply an individual, independent video giving that full perspective from the different interactions, points of views at the time of when things were unfolding or the beginning of the end for Noah, unknown to them at the time, and just who was more vulnerable at the end of the day. You can say Noah was because of his outcome, but you could also say Kaden's cousin because of the age factor, lack of experience, presence of alcohol, underage and underage drinking, and around much older guys. Could have gone much worse. Obviously, it all comes down to the environment and who you're around with. I mean, 30 to 40 people at the party at some point. Kaden said in the private interview, Friday to Saturday. In the public interview, he said Sunday night. Well, if it truly was Sunday night, like how we questioned with Noah, how many strangers were there to Noah? As in, I wonder how many strangers were present towards the likes of Kaden's cousin Georgia. How familiar was Georgia with the party goers? Did she know who was who, or did she not know? Did Georgia know that Kaden was at the party and that's one of the reasons as to why she came on down? Because she knew there was a bit of safety anyway? Who knows? Whilst we let those ideas and questions sit for a little, you can think about it yourself. What I wanted to do now is just respond back to some comments on my previous video. And whilst I did most of that earlier, ever since there's been some new posts. So I thought I might as well acknowledge them right now. Only the ones that I've not seen before, because I have responded to the others further down. So where do we start exactly? Pop's self-deletion seems to be a veiled idea pushed on Facebook by certain people recently, I think. Great video, appreciate that. And as a heads up to Popski, reference to that video game, maybe I'll try and get a hold of the username, as in me, and then I can post it on the community page if people wanted to add me elsewhere. So we'll get to that another time. Justin, sounds like the cover-up crew was reporting you. They don't want the truth. Now, who is the cover-up crew exactly? Happened in the past where 20 of my videos were falsely reported for privacy violations. I did nothing wrong and it was all okay in the end, but clearly someone or some people didn't like my coverage. Ever since, it's been okay, but as for Reddit, that's a different story. So for anyone watching right now and knows in the background, make sure to listen in because some important breaking news has come about just recently. It was brought to my attention that on the main Noah Presgrove Reddit page, hundreds of posts or comments have been falsely reported, mostly tying in with my post and videos about the case. Who knows who it could be? But it's a bit of a mess. The Reddit page, myself, under attack once again. Doesn't come as much of a surprise to me because what I've noticed on Reddit for some time now there are some petty, obsessed members, whoever they are, hiding in the shadows. And some mention their names like Just Excuses or something, and then that unverified expert that was pushing the idea that Noah fell off a moving vehicle, if you remember. What was he called? Opening Map, yeah? More like Opening Pratt, the former coroner or anthropologist, whatever. Obviously not exactly a professional with their attitude and behaviour. Whinging and whining, wretched dogs, basically, barking. They could be responsible, you never know, or others too. And along the way, when I've made my posts and shared my videos to spread that awareness, my videos always get downvoted on Reddit, so it's 0 or -2 or -3. Obsessed individuals that want to instantly hit the dislike button, just like those that do on YouTube even before the video has premiered. A little bit pathetic in a way. And like with the comment section, if someone said on one of my video posts on Reddit, great video, very helpful, if I say thank you, much appreciated, I get -3 downvotes. As said, Reddit is a bit of a sub-level type place at times. And in different communities outside of true crime, the people that are on there, some of them, questionable. The comments and responses and downvotes make 0 sense most of the time. It's stupid. But you can come across some good people on there and some good pages, but it's not that perfect compared to YouTube, which is a bit better, in my opinion. But either way, it's a place, it's a platform to share ideas and discussions, but not everybody quite likes or agrees with it. And whenever I show up, people get pissed off. It is what it is. But yeah, hundreds of posts, hundreds of comments falsely reported just recently. Wow. Some people are getting desperate, aren't they? Now, what do you have here? Skeptical. In regards to the Dylan Rounds case community, I never expected this. A video of James Brenner questioned by police the weekend Dylan was reported missing has been released on YouTube. Who released it? What channel? It was hard for me to watch. I got through a few minutes and had to turn it off. It's chilling for me to hear Brenner's voice and him trying to explain away, victim blame and others, what he in fact knew what he did to Dylan. I'll try and watch this weekend. I looked that up and watched sometime this weekend body language clues in this sick James Brenner murder. Also, time-lapse video, Brenner's interrogation, Don Hatley's questioning about guns, tried watching this morning, but again, could only watch a few minutes. I mean, I've seen a handful of potential clips or footage, but I'm not bothered watching it because at the end of the day, case is mainly done and dusted, and no offence, but I'm not going to waste my time covering a case which is pretty much resolved and has been justice and get a dead reception. Just being honest, if there's other ongoing active cases, regardless of how popular they are, I'm going to be doing that. Now, I did do the odd reference, very important to the Dylan Rounds case, and yeah, didn't get much reach or awareness, which is a bit of BS, if I'll be honest with you. So I wouldn't spend 20 hours looking through all the documents for nothing. You get what I'm saying? Got to be efficient with time. Main thing is, these bits of evidence and documents are publicly available for people to find themselves. That's the main thing. If they were released at the time or ongoing during the investigation, would have been so much better, would have complemented the videos so much more. But I know they couldn't do that for legal reasons, but still it's annoying. Grunt, shout out to Grunt and their comments on my channel. I saw one of them which was good, but I forgot to respond to it. How does Sarah Long know what happened to Noah when she wasn't actually there? How does she know Noah had died out on the roadway? Was she there? Does she have first-hand knowledge of someone who was there? You'd think, maybe. The way Sarah Long talks, she talks as if she was there. Then the way she talks about Noah deserved it to die. Did Sarah Long hit Noah on the highway? So it does not sit right the way she was saying things. Yeah, you could say it was a bit cold. Skeptical says what she meant to say was not blaming Noah for his own death is like not blaming someone who died from eating too much McDonald's. Instead, she is insinuating people are blaming the kids for being McDonald's. Blaming Noah can only be true when his death is proven to be of his own doing. We know he didn't commit suicide, proved to his family someone didn't kill Noah intentionally, without intent, or accidentally. Until then, the poster's comment is unwarranted and self-serving. I mean, the reference to McDonald's, still a bit of a weird example. I know my examples are a bit out there, but in this situation, it was just a bit weird. So McDonald's is the equivalent of the party goers. Noah Presgrove being the one that consumes it. But how? If you're a person that consumes McDonald's, and as a consequence you might get fat afterwards, so then you blame McDonald's for providing you that food, even though you were the one to reach out to them in the first place, and obviously the customer is always right, so you will give that food to that paying customer. As for Noah Presgrove, the equivalent, Noah is consuming the McDonald's, the people, the party goers. What does Noah get out of that, though? It's still not good enough, the example what Sarah provided, in my opinion. Producing a documentary doesn't necessarily mean it's based on truth. Producing a documentary on an unsolved case is nothing new. Yeah? But it depends the timing, though, because these unsolved cases, which become cold cases, is through months, years, and then a documentary's done. In this situation, it's still ongoing. It's unsolved, but ongoing, with grey areas. So if a documentary was to be done, would it include the grey areas or skip it? That could have its own confusion. Kathy, praying God brings truth to the surface. We got Chad. I honestly don't believe Noah walked to the highway or tried to walk home. He did letter in track. What does that mean? So I'm sure he was able to walk. Athletics, so track, running, field, whatever. Yeah. So I'm sure he was able to walk 40 plus miles home. To participate in football, wrestling, track, he would have had to receive a certain grade level academically in order to participate in sport activities. He was physically and academically fit. I don't think he would put himself in a compromised position to walk down a highway, fair enough, in the dark. He did not have his phone that could illuminate with a light, found naked with 2 different shoes on, confirmed in police and autopsy reports. In my opinion, this behaviour would be uncharacteristic for a lettered high school athlete that graduated 3 months prior to his death. I mean, if one was drunk, they might not be too conscious as in what shoes they put on and if they take their phone with them. It depends how drunk they really are. Are they taking everything into consideration in the moment or somewhat forgetful? I guess the pattern and trend, what we would have to understand is it's okay for partygoers to say it's normal for Noah to wander off and go wherever, then return back later. But how often did Noah wander off from parties and past ones in which he left his phone behind and one of his shoes? How common was that? That's a key question, isn't it? Victor. After sleeping on his case, the ladies have more information than me. Police say no hit and run, but is killed by a vehicle. So it had to be their horsing around. Drunk Noah probably fell out and then run over, dies between 2:30 to 3 in the morning. It can't be. They might have moved body from centre of road to side. Lack of blood soaks into highway. They don't call 911. He's found 3 to 4 hours later. Might have picked up any debris. He's probably riding on front, I'm thinking, and they'd be worried manslaughter charges and drinking, they left him. Well, the time supposedly was 3:30 when Noah was still alive in the moment of walking away, cooling off. Kaden said at 2 in the morning, Noah was awake at the party, and 2:42, Noah was awake at the party. So I don't think it would tie in with this possible time frame. Victor's Sarah Long is a cold-hearted woman, but she is also who she is. Yeah, Noah's recklessly being drunk caused his death. I think he fell and ran over on a vehicle and one or others were there, and Sarah Long doesn't feel they should be charged with anything, not reporting it and also being drunk. If they feel like then they shouldn't be to blame or there's no responsibility, well then they shouldn't really be in a position to claim that they care as well. Because if you care, then you would clear up any confusion. You want to protect yourself, then you shouldn't show as much care in a way. Not to be a hypocrite. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. The comments, we've caught up. All in all, hopefully you found this video interesting. Be sure to hit the like button and share it so more people get to see it, because these text conversations bring it all together, and tying it in with the previous party footage and clips, what we've seen, the order of when things occurred, what should have been done from day one but never really done until me. So, says a lot. Do we have any other news or stuff to cover? Not at this moment in time, but there's the odd other video idea, but that can be standalone, so it's focused. But hopefully this video was of interest, and I'll see you next time. My name's Warlike Ref. Goodbye, good night for now.